In a global economy struggling to regain its footing after a crippling health crisis and amid rising prices, the banking sector sees a glimmer of recovery from increasing bank deposits, investments on securities. To tell us more about this is HSBC Wealth Vice Chairman Peter Faulhaber. Peter, thank you so much for joining us
My
on
pleasure.
The Final Word. Why is there rising wealth here in the Philippines despite, well, a pandemic, which is now 2.5 years and going, global inflation, higher interest rates, and a strong dollar?
It's a great question, Rico. So it really comes down to demographics. So the Philippines has a very large, very young population, and it's really the middle class that's continuing to expand. So that middle class expansion is driving consumption and spending, which is great for GDP, but there's also increasing rates of savings and investments, and that's really providing a buffer to individuals and to the economy from some of those impacts that you mentioned.
And basically, with the expansion of the middle class and, of course, the upper middle class and the rich, is this also trickling down into the other sectors of society?
So HSBC Global Research recently released a report called The Rise of Asian Wealth, and it talks about, across Southeast Asia, this demographic trend. And, there are certainly some segments of the population, here in the Philippines that are going to grow quite considerably over the next 8 years. So for instance, if I pick out two main segments, there's a segment which has assets of, let's say, $250,000 US. That could be in anything. It could be in real estate, it could be a business, it could be cash. And there's also a segment which is, let's say, has $1 million or more. Now, in the next 8 years, both of those segments here in the Philippines are going to double, right? So that middle class, right, is starting to trickle to the top, which is leading to more people becoming wealthy across all different kinds of assets. And
how can individuals better manage their wealth or their hard-earned savings?
Great question. I think there's four real things that everybody should do, right? So one is, as you mentioned, is save, right? You can't invest money if you haven't saved any money, right? So yes, it's great to spend. It's great to see the economy opening up after 2.5 years, but saving some money is super important. The second one is talking to an expert. Okay. Even if you know a lot about finance or investing, it really is important to talk to a relationship manager or somebody that's qualified to give you investment advice. The third piece is you need to take a long-term view, okay? Right? No one's going to become rich overnight in this, just by saving every day. So you really need to take a long-term view. And the last one is diversification, right? So diversification basically means not putting all of your eggs in one basket, putting a little bit perhaps into savings, a little bit perhaps into saving for, let's say, children's education, and some of it maybe in, let's say, equities, which would be higher risk, but in the long term, it may benefit you.
But what about the risk factor? When an investor gets into an investment, what kind of risk should they, or what kind of mindset should they have when getting into a new investment?
Great question. So coming back to, I think one of the 4 points I mentioned is it's really important to talk to an expert, right? It's really important to talk to an expert and think through some of these questions. So for instance, at HSBC Wealth, everything that we do in order to figure out what you need as a customer ultimately starts with a conversation from you. So, what are your long-term goals? What are you saving for? What types of investments do you already have? Are there family considerations? Are there education considerations? So for instance, I have 2 young children, so saving for education is very important, for me. It may be different from somebody from a different generation whose children may already be through that. They may be planning for retirement or to leave a business. So it's really getting advice, and all of that will vary by person, right? There's not one product, there's not one financial product which can fit every person the same way.
And Peter, HSBC launched a new business to help clients manage wealth.
Yes.
What is this service?
Sure. So this is called HSBC Wealth. This is our investment and insurance brokerage. It's licensed, exists locally here in the Philippines. Our goal is to provide the best investment and insurance products to local Filipinos living and working here in the Philippines. The reason that we launched this was we've been in the Philippines, HSBC as a brand, for 147 years. So we've been here for a very long time.
Yeah.
We have a fantastic customer base. And the number one thing that our customers ask us for is more products to help them with their financial planning and their wealth. So we launched this at the end of September. And so we're now actually able to meet the needs of these customers that have been telling us, you need to provide all the products that we have. And we're really excited to have this service now.
Of course, diversification in investments is very important, right?
Yes.
To minimize the risk. When you say investment in insurance products, Peter, are these invested only in the local market, or do you also recommend to your clients to invest in products overseas?
Sure. Great question. So, and as you mentioned, diversification comes in many forms. So we do have locally incorporated wrapped funds. We have dividend-paying funds. We have sector funds that are provided by the best asset managers in the Philippines. We also have feeder funds, which again are all regulated, approved locally, but they give you access to, let's say, offshore investments. And of course, HSBC being HSBC, international connectivity is what we do. We do have the capability to, for instance, recommend investments in other jurisdictions if there is, let's say, a geographic diversification that you're interested in.
And what are the different fund types under HSBC Wealth?
Sure. So right now we offer UITFs, which is unit investment linked funds. We have dividend paying funds, right, which gives you a little bit of a coupon. We have feeder funds, which gives you access to offshore investments. We have sector funds, so that could be investing in technology companies or consumer or infrastructure. And we also have our wealth insurance products. And those are essentially, let's say, that's a life insurance policy, right? So it pays out, let's say, if something happens. And there'll be investments wrapped around that. So you also get a potential bit of upside on that, as well as security for you and your family from a life insurance perspective.
Give us an analysis right now, Peter, of the markets.
Oh, goodness.
Where are we right now in terms of interest rates? Are they likely to go higher? What about the US dollar? Will it continue to be strong against the Philippine peso and other Asian currencies?
Great question. So, not being an economist, I can give you my layperson's view. And HSBC Global Research has quite a lot of research that we've shared, and we can share more of that. Our current view right now, dollar continues to be obviously very strong, and we see that in the peso. The Fed just raised interest rates, as we know, the other week, and they've signaled that that's likely to continue in the short term. So it seems like those two forces are going to remain in place in the short term. But we have a BSP meeting coming up in November and another one in December, so we'll have to see how the local market reacts to that.
And how can Filipinos know more about the products and services of HSBC?
So easiest way is to go to our website, hsbc.com.ph. You can also stop into any one of our branches. We have 6 main branches that are around the metro here, all the way from Alabang up to Green Hills in the north. You can also give us a call, and the contact details are available on our website.
Thank you so much, Peter, for the investment advice from HSBC Wealth. And we've been speaking with HSBC Wealth Vice Chairman, Peter Faulhaber.